guys, so we made it. Thank you for joining us all into the finals. Apparently that break did not do very good at all. We've got Kyle, who we just saw win that last round against Riley, who has come back from that loss in that first round all the way back here. Riley is so close to his invite. He needs to win this and like one other event, and he's got it.
Yep.
So this is going to be a super important match for him starting up. And I mean, Kyle's not going to make it easier for him. Kyle's a fantastic player, and Riley is a fantastic player, so we're in for a very good match. So Kyle's team on your left side, we've got this Landis there, Landis Darren, a lot of Ninetales, that Metagross, the Rotom Wash, Hydreigon, and the Charizard versus Riley's team of that Tapu Koko, the Landis Darren, Charizard, Cresselia, Snorlax, and Incineroar.
Very interesting to see on Kyle's side double weather. He has both Ninetales to set up Hail, and he has the Charizard to set up Sun. So kind of competing weathers, like not weathers that you see together too often, because Blizzard outside of, running Blizzard outside of Hail is kind of risky. At the same time, like running Charizard, but also, and potentially removing your own Sun could be really problematic as well. So we're going to see how these players are going to play. They did play in Swiss, I believe, in the last round, where Kyle was able to defeat Riley or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, so Kyle leading with that Landers and that Hydreigon, as Riley leads with the Incineroar and the Tapu Koko. So we will be getting double Intimidates out on the field. I think that Landers' Intimidate went before Tapu Koko's Electric Terrain, and the Intimidate from Incineroar is going to be the last thing that's happening here. So that Landers is going to be faster than that Tapu Koko.
Yep. So, what?
Nothing.
So the advantage of Landers here, he can just really go for an Earthquake here, but of course Hydreigon not going to want to take a Dazzling Gleam from the Tapu Koko. Fake Out coming out into the Landers, protecting both Pokemon that are weak to ground. Dazzling Gleam coming out from the Koko is going to do a decent amount of damage to the Landers, not too much to the Charizard. Yeah, since the Koko is not Life Orb, this is still another 2 to 3 hits. Fortunately, I don't think Landers is going to live long enough to do that. But of course, the Landers has been intimidated, so both Koko and Charizard should actually be able to take this an Earthquake if need be.
Right, but then you've got the Earthquake and like the Heat Wave potential if that Charizard.
Well, Koko
right?
would stop the Charizard from getting a move off potentially, unless a crit happens. But when does that ever happen?
I remember, Kyle did a good job protecting that Hydreigon by switching it out, and he's going to be switching out that Charizard again, this time again for that Hydreigon, so, if it takes a Dazzling Gleam, he might be in trouble, but protect from that Tapu Koko on Riley's side, so this Hydreigon not going to be taking Dazzling Gleam. As Landers goes for a U-turn instead into that Incineroar spot, it's going to be doing some good damage onto, it's going to be doing some damage onto it as it goes back to Kyle, and it allows Kyle to switch out for a Pokemon on this turn. So,
Charizard coming back in. Sorry guys, it's been a long day. I'm trying to recuperate with all this. So knockoff from Incineroar does decent damage to the Charizard. Still not enough, but I think Riley is in a pretty good spot here. Hydreigon can potentially be knocked out by a Dazzling Gleam, or the Charizard can be knocked out. So I think Kyle has to decide where is Riley going to target this, and like if the Hydreigon has something like a Dazzling Gleam, Tailwind, it could get the speed control for Kyle, which could be very instrumental for him to win this game.
Ooh, and Charizard being switched out again now for Landers this time. So getting another Intimidate into that Incineroar, going to be knocking it down to -2. As this Tapu Koko is going to have its kind of choice to attack, and if you're really hoping you made the right call at this point, as the Hydreigon protects itself and Volt Switch from that Tapu Koko going into what is now that Landers as that low kick. Okay, it's low kick from Incineroar into that Hydreigon's protected spot.
Very interesting play by Riley here, because I don't understand why he would go for
the Volt Switch.
I can see why he would go for the Volt Switch, but at the same time, I would think he would want to try and get rid of that Charizard faster or something like that with a Flare Blitz as opposed to a low kick. Mona Lisa or Cresselia coming in, and Hydreigon switching out again. There's an evolving door of Pokemon here that we're having going right now.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Kyle's trying to use that to his advantage as much as possible as Charizard comes into the field for that Hydreigon, and now that Snorlax is going to be in spot of that Incineroar that we had before, as we've got the Earthquake from Kyle's Landers going to be only really hitting that Snorlax, which will take it pretty nicely, and instead of that Incineroar from earlier.
Yeah, but because Kyle's Landorus is Choice Scarf. Now it's locked to doing only Earthquake. And only going to be able to hit one of the 2 Pokemon on the opposing field. Landorus is not going to want to take an Icy Wind or an Ice Beam from the Cresselia potentially, while Charizard could have something like Overheat, which could be useful here. But unfortunately, I feel like Riley is putting so much pressure right now because he could set up Trick Room and potentially Belly Drum, or he can just go on offense here and try and start dealing a ton of damage to this Charizard. So I think Riley will go for something like a Trick Room plus a return into the Charizard or something like that.
Yeah, but kind of starting off the turn with that Mega Evolution on that Charizard, bringing in the Sun as Snorlax actually goes for the Protect here. So, you know, like you said, potential for that Trick Room happening here. Charizard going for the Heat Wave, connecting potentially only with that Cresselia. It does connect on here. It has also the potential for the Burn onto that Pokemon here. As Trick Room, though, is going to be the move that Cresselia is going for, and this Snorlax is going to thrive in that setting.
Yeah, Snorlax loves being in Trick Room. Snorlax loves being in Trick Room, and at the same time, Kyle is threatening quite a bit of damage with that Hydreigon. I mean, even if Riley went for Ice Beam plus Return, it might not be able to pick up a KO here. Meanwhile, Hydreigon with Dark Pulse would easily be able to knock out this Cresselia from this range.
And it's also got the Dark Z
Dark
crystal on that.
okay.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure how much damage that would do to Snorlax, but it would definitely do a lot. Return from the Snorlax, going into Charizard, doing a ton of damage. Not
set up. Like
yeah.
I think we saw that from Riley's set early on stream where it does a lot of damage.
It's not going to affect the Hydreigon. It probably was going into the Charizard in case it did somehow survive. Barry is going to proc from the Snorlax, so it's going to be back to full. And Kyle lost his Mega and didn't really gain much from it because now, if worse comes to worse, Snorlax could just recycle, get its Berry back, and yeah.
I mean, yeah, and this Landorus is out on the field again, but this Landorus, I think the tough part about having the Choice Scarf Landorus here is having to choose the move to kind of lock into. So, you know, obviously you can't hit that Cresselia with Earthquake there, and you want to do as much damage as you can to that Snorlax, which means, you know, you're going to want to lock yourself to superpower. But then there's that there's the drawback to that, which is that minus attack and defense every single time. So I think, like you pointed out, losing that Charizard without any sort of return or like gain from that is a little bit tough on Kyle. And Riley's like in a really good spot here, as that Landorus is going to be switching out for the Metagross instead on Kyle's side, and so obviously not going to be able to Mega Evolve at all. As the return goes into that spot, do no damage thanks to the resistance and the -1 onto the attack, as Icy Wind from Cresselia connects to both Pokemon, going to be lowering the speed on the Metagross, going to be doing super effective damage onto the Hydreigon, but it does not look like it half the time.
Yeah. Hydreigon is going to go for the Z move, probably into the Cresselia to make sure it picks up a KO. The Cresselia has been a little bit of a pain, so it's time to take it out. It's time to go back to the Pokeball, stop annoying me with the Icy Winds and the Psychics. Of course, it could also be going for trying to get the knockout onto this Snorlax, but I don't know if it would. And it does go into the Cresselia, which would definitely be able to pick up a KO here. So now, something that was really annoying for Kyle is getting just removed from the field. But at the same time, now Riley can potentially bring in Charizard.
Yeah, and I think the nice thing about that too is when that Trick Room expires, then at least now Kyle doesn't have to worry about that being set up again. Yeah. So Riley bringing back in that Incineroar is going to have the fake out pressure just a little bit here. Does not intimidate the Metagross thanks to that clear body, and that Snorlax is in a kind of a tough spot. It's eating this berry. It's not set up. It's still in Trick Room, but he's only got about 2 turns. He's got 2 turns left on that, and you know, no Belly Drum or anything. And I think even with all that damage output, he's going to need to get that Belly Drum to be able to hit that Metagross really hard.
Well, the Snorlax can recycle and start getting some health back. Landorus is going to come in for the Metagross. Does not want to take a Flare Blitz in the sun. Also wants to be able to get an Intimidate out so that neither Hydreigon doesn't take too much damage. Recycle from the Snorlax, so it's going to be able to get its berry back. The recycle has been very useful for Riley throughout this entire top cut.
All right, and that Flare Blitz is going to be going into what was that Metagross slot, so going to be doing a lot of damage still to that Landorus. Picks up the knockout thanks to that Sun boosted Flare Blitz, so recall damage still onto the Incineroar. But I mean, Riley is just knocking out some of Kyle's Pokemon, and that's really your goal here, as that Dark Pulse is almost kind of did nothing into that Snorlax.
Yeah.
And now you've got that Metagross who is still going to be in Sun, and is going to have to take one of these Pokemon is going to take an attack from that from that Incineroar, and it's going to hurt.
Yep. Metagross is not in a good place here. The Hydreigon is not in a good place either, because the Snorlax is going to keep hitting return, and because it did recycle, has his berry back, there's no way that the Hydreigon's going to take out the Snorlax before it's the other way around. So I think Riley has probably set himself for a really good sweep from here on out. Sun does have one turn left, but I think that's the only turn that he needs to get everything knocked out.
Yeah, and so no protects at all from Kyle's side, as we've got the return getting that Hydreigon at half health as a Flare Blitz into that Metagross is going to pick up that knockout. Thanks again, that Sun boost, it helps so much, and even that recall damage is going to be enough. But Hydreigon goes for the Earth Power, goes into that Incineroar spot. It's going to be picking up the knockout onto it, but
a little bit too late.
Yeah, now it's just this Hydreigon versus Riley's last two Pokemon, and even though the Snorlax is out of Trick Room, Riley still has I think that's a Tapu Koko.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
So Dazzling Gleam, Tapu Koko.
Yep, that's gonna be game it's game. The only way it couldn't be game is Riley had a heart attack at this moment in time, but that's not gonna happen. So.
Oh my God, he's having a heart attack.
I was like, somebody's got to say it, right? But so Kyle is kind of seeing no way out of that, does forfeit the match and gives the first win to Riley. So Riley's just 1 win away from being one step closer to that invite. It has been, for someone who hasn't been playing half the season, this boy's grind has been intense.
Yeah, since he came back, he's been playing. He's been going hard at it. He has been playing really, really well. He's been able to get points from almost every event that he's been to. And it shows that he's almost so close to his invite before even Nationals. So any points that he gets from Nationals...
cherry on the top at that point.
Yeah, so you can see that all that hard work really paid off.
And so, once again, I don't know what I would actually really change. I think Riley played that really well.
Mm-hmm. Riley played exceptionally well. Not to take anything away from Kyle, but I think Kyle just didn't really realize how much of a threat the Snorlax was and just let it slip.
Well, I mean, it's not I feel like that's hard to kind of gauge sometimes, because most of the time you either have Curse or you have Belly Jump from Snorlax for it to be really a threat, and Riley's Snorlax being able to operate outside of that without any sort of setup is kind of a little bit scary. And I think it's one of those things where you're going to want to go after that Cresselia, you want to go after that Snorlax, but you only have one that you can go after. Mm-hmm. So I think Kyle's going to have to make that choice, especially because he kind of hurt himself by bringing the Sun with that Charizard and let it stay there for Riley.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see how Kyle adjusts here. Riley 1 game away from becoming the last mid-season from LA, or really California, winner. So he will be the champion of California.
Oh gosh.
In some ways, but Metagross and
Charizard
from Kyle versus the Incineroar and the Snorlax. Mm-hmm. So right away, that Incineroar is going to be threatening that Metagross really, really hard. And
Kyle's definitely not going to be choosing Mega Evolution here, right? If he's going to keep that Metagross out on the field.
Yeah, and if Kyle chooses to protect here, then that could give Riley a chance to set up Belly Drum, and then that Snorlax becomes a huge, huge threat.
Yeah, so I mean, Riley kind of has that lead advantage right here because he's threatening damage onto that Metagross. He has the ability to kind of fake out, or he can just kind of try for that setup onto that Snorlax and just go for damage. His Metagross is going to be switching out for the Landorus. He's going to be getting an Intimidate now onto that Incineroar and to that Snorlax. And this Landorus is actually not intimidated because it's switching it on this turn. So Kyle is still actually just kind of free to go for that Mega Evolution right now, but no Mega Evolution as the fake out from the Incineroar goes into the Charizard spot. And Belly Drum is not like that. Belly Drum is a free setup now for Riley, and it's going to make the Snorlax absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, and this is a scary spot to be in if you're Kyle, because now you have a Pokemon that can just start picking up kills left and right. And I don't know if he has the tools right now to be able to pick up a knockout onto it. And of course, Landorus and Charizard could double into it, but then, well, I guess that's an option. But at the same time, it's like, you would probably have to go for an overheat and a superpower in order to pick up that KO. And if he does miss that, and then you're losing a ton of special attack and you're getting attack drops and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you're between a rock and a hard place at this point if you're Kyle, because you have to make a decision, and you have to figure out what your biggest threat is, and at this point it's that Snorlax, so you're going to have to put all your resources into it, and that's always a tough decision because that just kind of leaves that Incineroar and the buddies in the back to just go for free reign here, as Riley switches out that Incineroar, brings out that Cresselia from before, and now we've got the Charizard finally Mega Evolving, going to bring in the Sun, so boost that Fire type move, going to want to so any attacks that might go into that Snorlax are going to do a little bit more damage thanks to that Sun boost.
Yeah, now Riley bringing in a Cresselia here is kind of interesting because although it does threaten the Landorus, one thing he could potentially go for is a ally switch. So if the Charizard reveals something like Overheat right now, Riley will definitely want to protect that Snorlax. But we did not see the Overheat. Instead of seeing Heat Wave going into the Cresselia, it's going to do decent damage, but not nearly enough to pick up a 2-hit KO. So now Kyle's in a really hard spot because Earthquake plus Heat Wave should not be able to knock out that Snorlax. So Snorlax will be able to pick up a free KO here, and then potentially Cresselia could just get a Trick Room up, or not.
Ooh, yeah, so actually withdrawing that Cresselia and goes for the Incineroar again, even though we just saw the Earthquake from that. But I think a -1 Earthquake is going to be, it's still going to put Riley in a really comfortable place here. So obviously not affecting the Charizard on Kyle's side of the field thanks to it being a flying type. But that Intimidate does absolutely nothing to that Snorlax, and does a little over half to Incineroar, but Heat Wave connecting with both Pokemon, and is, oh man, okay, yeah, no burn on that Snorlax, but does activate the berry on the Incineroar on Riley's side. So this Incineroar is still in a really comfortable place as Recycle from that Snorlax. Gonna find the berry, gonna get health back. It's still gonna be at +6 here.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by the Recycle there.
Oh, sorry,
I thought he would go. Huh?
No, sorry.
I'm a little bit surprised by the berry, the Recycle here. I thought he would for sure were trying to pick up at least 1 KO. That makes sense to a certain degree, but at the same time, I feel like he could have picked up a KO onto the Charizard easily here, and then, it would have been one last threat. Landorus is intimidated, so it's not doing as much damage to this.
Charizard can burn you. That's the scary part.
Oh, that's only a 10% chance. That never happens.
I was gonna say from now on we should record every time you get burned now from Heat Wave. But no, I kind of agree. I mean, I think the Intimidate is nice onto the Landorus because after a certain point, Kyle's gonna have to switch it out because even like right now, because even not being able to hit your Charizard isn't gonna be worth that minus to it. As Metagross is actually gonna be on the field, and we've got the Fake Out into that Charizard spot instead. As Return from Snorlax is finally gonna be attacking into a Pokemon. Does a lot of damage into that Metagross, but it's better than having that Landorus in that spot.
So, since this Metagross is not Mega Evolved yet, I'm going to assume that it's Assault Vest. I'm also going to assume that because I already knew that. But it's an interesting position here because if it has Hammer Arm, it could potentially pick up a KO onto the Snorlax. But Riley's been playing very protective of the Snorlax. He never lets the Snorlax take 2 free hit. So if I was Kyle here, I think I would go for a little bit ballsy play and to try and double up into the.
Wait.
Whoa, okay. Air Slash. Throw everything I just said out the window.
So Air Slash.
Bulldoze.
Oh my god. So Air Slash and Bulldoze from Kyle's side of the field. Gonna be picking up with the knockout onto that Incineroar and the.
What? Yes.
Does lower the speed of that Snorlax, which is already a very slow Pokemon, but now the Snorlax is free to go for that return into that Charizard spot. It's going to be easily picking up that knockout here. So no more flinch or burn chance from that Charizard.
Yeah, Air Slash is very rare to see on this Charizard. Usually Charizards, you opt to have something like Solar Beam in order to deal with the water-type weaknesses. So that was a little bit surprising, but I can see why someone would use that. Air Slash does have the chance to flinch, or in case we face something like Fighting type. Trying to think, what Pokemon are weak to fire? Fly.
So Tapu Koko and Hydreigon taking the place of their fallen combats here, as Tapu Koko is going to be getting the Electric Terrain and has the ability for that Dazzling Gleam as well against that Hydreigon. We know Hydreigon also has that Earth Power from the previous match. But again, the Snorlax is in a really nice spot. It has able to kind of return into whatever slot it wants, as Tapu Koko is also able to deal some massive damage. I think we've seen Bullet Punch already from this Metagross from previous matches. So we do know it also has that as well. And no burn this time for Kyle on that Metagross.
Yeah, I think if I'm Riley here, I just go all out to try and kill this Metagross, and then with the Snorlax, I'll try and get the KO on the Hydreigon. And I don't know how Kyle can stop this technically, because I guess Kyle could go for an Earth Power onto the Coco trying to read this, but then he also loses Hydreigon in the process, and it does become really, really complicated.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a trade-off basically happening. You have to figure it out. But Tapu Koko actually protecting itself this turn, so no damage taken for it whatsoever. As Hydreigon going for the Earth Power into that protected Tapu Koko slot, so Riley doing a very good job of protecting it. As another Bulldoze from this Metagross is not going to be touching the Hydreigon because of Levitate, and it's going to be knocking down this already Snow Snorlax down by another speed tier.
I'm a bit shocked by this. I mean, I'm guessing now that... Okay. I'm shocked by two things. One, that Metagross has not revealed something like Hammer Arm so far to try and get rid of this Snorlax once and for all. Now the Hydreigon, I mean, now Riley can just... Yeah, Riley has picks everywhere to get knockouts. You'd think even a return onto this Metagross would be able to pick up a KO here. So if Riley just goes for Dazzling Gleam plus return, I think he just wins this game pretty convincingly, really.
Yeah, I mean, he also has that Cresselia in the back still, so if he he wants to dodge that Earth Power, he can just go ahead and switch out that Tapu Koko.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that Snorlax is already set up and is a really comfortable Pokemon right now. Nothing's kind of really going after it. That Metagross has used Bulldoze twice. We do know that there's still the Z move from Kyle's Hydreigon, but Thunderbolt instead. So Riley just going all for it, goes after that Metagross, knocks it out, and is going to be able to pick up the knockout there. As we've got the Hydreigon going for.
If this picks up a KO
nice.
onto the Snorlax, it's going to be huge. But at the same time, if it does not pick up a KO, then this is game.
If that goes into that Tapu Koko, then that was a very,
Then
yeah, I was like, then Riley definitely just kind of gets this, but it does go into that Snorlax.
No reason for a play that risky, knowing that the Snorlax is such a huge threat. And is it enough?
Ooh, does not pick up the knockout. I adore you. The return from that Snorlax which survived does pick up the knockout on the Hydreigon. That was
Kyle is facing down against three Pokemon from Riley, one of which is a +6, so
it's a big boy. It's a
that's
big
game.
scary boy. Yeah, I mean, even with Landorus, having that ability for that Intimidate, it has the ability to Earthquake. Well, Kyle has to choose one move to lock into, and it's almost impossible because that Cresselia is still in the back.
Yep.
So I mean, this is definitely like Riley.
That's game.
This is Riley. Riley started not super well and ends with a win.
Yep.
So
This just goes to show, believe in yourself and never give up. Yep, I said that.
Miguel shaking his head at Gio right now. I just want everybody to know this. As actually, I was like, the Snorlax flinched.
Oh. Well, now you just have to flinch him
multiple more times.
6, 7 more times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, there's a rock slide this way.
There is, but
I
don't see a Dunsparce on the screen. Okay, that's game.
Oh.
And congratulations to Riley. One step closer to his world invite. All that hard work really paying off. And yep, he has done really, really well since he came back to play VGC 18. So I can't wait to see more from him.
Yeah, I mean, next week I think he just has to win one PC at the Tijuana. He has to win if he wins the Tijuana PC or gets points in the midseason. He gets his invite. So
wow, so close.
Yeah, it's literally like the last couple of events he can go to before. I think it's literally the last event he can go to before nationals. So yeah. So thanks for joining us. That was fun.
Was it?
Wow. Okay. I guess it wasn't fun for Gio, so oh well. I mean, I had fun, I guess.
I had fun too.
But thanks for joining us, guys. And for everybody going to North American Internationals in the next couple weeks, have fun, be safe, enjoy yourself, and go catch some shiny Squirtle for Community Day.
Yeah. Don't watch the finals, go catch Squirtle.
Go catch Squirtle. But thanks for joining us, and have a nice rest of your night.